Hi folks, James here once again. Very warm welcome to you all, and this time you join me in one of the local woodlands fairly close to the outskirts of my town. I'm fairly close to a boundary of maybe a 3 or 4 square mile little piece of old woodland, which is mainly sort of native species such as hawthorns, 1 or 2 old yews, some oaks, various other things, sycamores, things like that. And it's kind of on a raised piece of ground that I think in the past, up until about the perhaps early 50s, was quarried for ironstone, which is one of the things the county that I'm from, Northamptonshire, is fairly famous for. It's what the land lies on here, and a long time ago there were many little quarries in this area where I live, and lots of little railways connecting in with the main line, and there were thousands of tons sort of trained out to various different places for building and all sorts of things. You see it in all the buildings around here. So it's very late in the afternoon now, the light's going down. In fact, the sun is pretty much on the horizon now. But I thought I'd like to come out this afternoon. It's been a fairly mild day actually, and thought I'd share some of my little bit of a stroll with you. And also you can see the effects of the recent storms here. There's some quite sizable trees that have been just completely upended almost. Great sort of root pads sticking out here and there, and lots of crisscrossing branches going across the more popular pathways that go through here. And so it's had its fair share of changes over the past couple of weeks, I would say. Haven't been up here for a while, so you can certainly see some fresh damage here and there, but so I'm enjoying the smaller of my 2 Kiko Meerschaums today, with some delicious Germain's Rich Dark Flake, and it is, as I say, very tasty, lovely and sweet, and ideal for my little stroll out here today. And whilst I'm here, I'd like to say a big thanks to Dale Piper, John, for enlightening us about a lovely book which he did a reading from, in fact, on a couple of videos back actually of his, and it's My Lady Nicotine by J.M. Barrie, and this is a lovely book, and I felt inclined to actually find myself a copy, and fairly promptly did a bit of a search on the internet and came up with several options. I used like an online sort of like a broker's almost, where they have an accumulation of sort of smaller independent bookshops, and it collates all the results, and you can just look through and see the different prices and conditions, and they'll send it directly to you from the shop. So that's been it's the first time I've really found a book like that, and it's been quite a successful little exercise. So my 6th edition really only has one date in it, of 1893. Now I don't know if that's the original date of writing or publishing, or whether it's the date of my book, but you can see the book is it has got some serious age to it, and it has a lovely sort of well used, and it has a really good sort of aura about it. And it's one thing I do love, is a good old book. It's a little bit tatty, but it's still perfectly good for reading. And I haven't had a lot of time to actually read all of it. I've got in so far a few chapters. It's not a particularly long book. I note in this old book that the thickness of the paper is way more than most modern books you find now, and it almost feels like you've got maybe 3 or 4 pages together. So I should imagine I'll get through it fairly quickly. But again, thanks to John for sharing that with us, because I'd obviously heard of J.M. Barrie before as an author, but wasn't aware of his early fairly serious involvement with smoking and in various different forms. And it's a lovely book, and it features all the sort of common things that we are aware of as pipe smokers now, especially amongst ourselves here, and one of which is the lusting after certain pipes. And quite conveniently, Mr. Barrie in the book, he has a thing for two Meerschaum pipes, and without going into too much detail, basically he finally does make the purchase, and but in his heart of hearts it seems that he's really set on his briar pipes, and actually one in particular, I think. And I am in a similar situation, although I do love I have 3 Meerschaum pipes, and I do have them in a fairly reasonably regular rotation, but I have to say I always tend to go back to a briar. And it's interesting that I think I may not be the only one, but I do love a nice well-smoked briar, and I have my selected few which are, you know, my sort of favourites, as we all do, and it takes a while for a pipe to earn its place, I think, and so yes, it's lovely to read about someone else with a similar situation going on, and there are various other topics, tobacco related, obviously, and one of which is about the old pipe pouch, and again, very difficult to get a new pipe pouch. I find I like a well-worn, well-used pouch that it becomes like an old friend, and it's not something you really want to part with, and it's always with you, and it becomes an integral part of your being almost. So yes, it covers many of the familiar topics to us all, and I thoroughly recommend it, and there are various versions available. I think it's been reprinted over the years, and as I say, I think it's well worth including it in your sort of tobacco-based libraries, and well, Tobacciana-based library, and it's something I hope to increase. There's quite a few other books I'd like to get my hands on, so yeah, thanks very much, John, and I would suggest, I'd be very surprised if you haven't, but if you're not familiar with John's channel, he's Dale Piper, and I strongly suggest you pop over to his channel and have a look. He does some lovely videos, varying subjects, which I find very interesting, and he's well loved in the community, and I'd be very surprised if you haven't enjoyed his videos already. So there we have it. I think that's about enough from me today. I've got a little bit of a walk back. I'm on the outskirts of this little piece of woodland, and it's probably about a half an hour walk back to home, and I shall enjoy that. It's still fairly breezy, as I'm sure you can tell on the camera here, but it's pleasantly mild, and for once no rain today, and that's been very pleasing. So with that, I shall say that I hope you're all very well, and until next time, we'll see you then, and cheerio.
You can hear it everywhere you go. What's the tune that every band is playing? We will sing it if you'd like to know. Cheerio, everyone, cheerio. Seems as though it is time we must go. Looking back, you'll find that we've left behind lots of happy hours together, so never mind. We'll be back in a while, cheerio. In the meantime, just smile, cheerio. Say goodbye to all your troubles.